Samantha, do you have the ability to share?
Yes, sir.
All right, why don't you take over? We can see your screen. It's great.
Perfect. Just let me know whenever you're ready.
I think we can go ahead and get started.
All right. My name is Samantha Gregory, and I'm from the South Carolina district. Going to be sharing some information on CSV with you, kind of taking a deeper look at the program itself. First off is getting to CSV. You can get to it a couple of different ways. From either the blue page, you go to My Work, then you're going to go to the Moving the Mail column, and then into Work Hour Efficiency. I'm sorry, I'm having a frozen screen here. Once you get to Customer Service, you can actually access several different applications from this screen. Seesaw, CSOM, Web 1260, your SOV, your Lean Matrix, your Seesaw Exceptions Report. But today we're going to go to CSV. And then this is where you're going to drill into your unit. One of the things I do want to point out is CSV does not update in real time. So if you make changes the day after or the day before or 2 days later, it's not going to immediately update to reflect what you've changed. If you're transferring hours, for instance, in LTATs, it will not immediately reflect anything that you transfer. So once you drill into your unit here, you'll start with your area, your district, and then your IMPU, and then you can drill down into your unit. But if by chance you know your unit finance number, if you click on the binoculars on the far right-hand side there, you can go directly to the finance number. You can look at several different time periods. When you're pulling your information, you can do the current week, which is always going to be the previous week, the rolling 4 weeks, the rolling 13 weeks, rolling 26 weeks, or the physical year to date. If you'll look in the middle of the screen there, you'll see where it says data files. These are the applications that feed into CVS. The dates beside them was the last time the application updated inside CSV, I'm sorry. So for instance, this one, WebCoins updated on 3/17. Benchmark only updates once a year, once every fiscal year. So it was updated on September 30th. Then of course your eFlash, your WAS report, AMS, your end of run report, and then any flex time that's fed into the system. Once you drill into your unit, this will be the next screen that you see. If you double click onto the individual post office, it'll allow you to drill a little further. But looking just at this screen, we're looking at the percent achieved. So each column has its own LDC. LDC 41 is going to be your automated, which is going to be your ADIS and your Estes machines. LDC 42 is going to be your business services LDC, which is going to be your BRM, your PRS, your MRS, and your postage due. LDC 43, of course, is going to be your distribution, your letters, flats, and parcels. LDC 44 is going to be your box section. LDC 45 is your Windows services. And LDC 48 is going to be your miscellaneous items. Now, your percent achieved is your earned divided by your actual. So they take your earned work hours divided by your actual work hours, and that's going to give you the percent achieved that you see. Your total function 4 hours are all hours totaled that relate to function 4. That's all the LDCs combined. Your actual entries are the things that are fed in from eFlash via tax for your actual clock rings and transfers. And your earned time is the workload that is reported. Variance is the difference between the two. And of course, the FTES is your full-time equivalent staffing. If your goal is 100% achieved, that means you're doing everything on the mark. If you are under 100%, you are using more hours than you earn. And then if you're over 100%, you're earning more hours than you use. And that can actually mean a couple different things. That's not always necessarily a good thing. You could be using other craft employees to do the work of a Function 4 employee and not transferring the hours. Once you drill into the unit, you're going to come into the summary report. And this gives a list of several different items: the complement, your work hour analysis, your workload analysis, productivity analysis, your route and delivery analysis, and then of course your FTES daily analysis. Now we're going to go into each one of those a little more in depth. Your benchmark, of course, is your comparison baseline. It's going to give you the work hours as they reported for the prior fiscal year, because remember, the benchmark only updates once a year. Your earned target is used to achieve your maximum efficiency based on your reported workload. The time period that you select when you start drilling into CSV is going to be the time period that it reflects during the entire reporting, unless you go back in and change that time period. For your complement analysis, this is the actual complements provided to you via web coins. So whatever's in your web coins is going to reflect into this. Your earned FTES calculation is based on your earned work hours from the reported workload. And it's, like I said, it's always from the same time period. Your work hour analysis is broken up into 3 different groups: your automation, your manual distribution, and then your retail and admin. It compares what your benchmark is to what you earn, to what you're actually using, and then provides you with the variance and the percentage achieved. All that information is going to be fed in via eFlash, and each earned work hour is generated based on the LDC, the productivity, the expectations of the reported workload. The actual work hours are what's actually reported for actual clock rings from tax. Well, it's from eFlash that's fed via tax. Next up is your workload analysis. This compares the amount of workload, what you provided for the past fiscal year to what you're actually putting in for your reported workload this fiscal year. Once again, this is divided into the 3 groups: the automation, the manual distribution, and then the retail and admin. And the example you see here, you can see the office has actually lost workload based on what their comparison is from last year. Last year, they received, for the same time period, which is a 1-week time period, they received 19 foot of flats. This current fiscal year, they've only received 17, so that was a loss of 2 foot of working flats. Now, the only thing they did seem to gain were packages. The previous fiscal year in the benchmark, they had 7,806 packages, and currently at this fiscal year had 8,477, an increase of 670 packages for the same time period. They've lost on Windows services, and they've also lost on their retail transactions. You can see retail is down about 16.5%. Next up is their productivity analysis. And this actually compares the benchmark, the earned, and the actual for each LDC once again. The factors that are used are unique to the unit and the LDC and is based on the workload type and the route information that is also listed. Your actual productivity is calculated by taking your actual workload and dividing it by your actual work hours. Next, we have the route and delivery analysis. Now, this is a very important report because it's fed by AMS. A lot of your LDC 48 items are all fed by the information that comes from AMS that shows in this report. So this is why it's important to make sure that your edit books are all up to date and you're getting credit for all of your deliveries and all of your routes. For example, your LDC 4800 UBM credit is earned based on the total number of deliveries in the unit. So if you have things that are missing out of your edit book, say you have an entire neighborhood that's 200 deliveries that's not currently being credited to your carrier, not only is your carrier not getting paid for it, your office is losing earned time because of it. PO box equivalent routes. The number of PO boxes that you have is formulated into an equivalent route based on 120 boxes per section. And that's based on the cell separations that your clerks use to separate out when they're distributing the mail in the distribution case in the mornings. City delivery is the only delivery where actual deliveries are based on the number that you receive. All other types of delivery, including rule, contract delivery, and your PO box equivalent deliveries, are only counted as active deliveries. FTES, which is full-time equivalent staffing, is the equivalent average of the number of daily on-duty employees. Your earned FTS is earned by taking your total function 4 hours and divided it by 6.6179, and then dividing that by the number of days in the selected time period. So for instance, in the office example that we're using, they had 93 total function 4 earned hours for the week. So we take the 93 and divide it by the 6.617, which gives us 14.05. This current week had 6 delivery days. So we divided that again by 6, and that gives us our 2.34 actual FTES complement. Now, how we get to 6.6179, you can take a look at the math on the left-hand side there. It says FTES rate is 52 weeks per year multiplied by 40 hours per week. That's where we get our 2080 hours from. We take our 2080 and we subtract out 88 hours for 11 holidays, which are 8 hours per day. So that gives us 1992. Then we take the 1992 and divide it again by 301 delivery days. That's where we get our 6.6179. Again, on the homepage of CSV, we have what is called the floating menu. And what is in the floating menu is based upon what is unique to the unit. Some units will have things that other units do not. Examples being RMPOs, Sunday holiday hubs, SCF hubs, LDC 45 LA, and we'll get into those a little further in. This floating menu provides you several other reports that deep dive further in to each one of your LDC admin and retails, along with other information. Our first is the complement model. The CSV complement model should not be the only sole source of information when adjusting complement. You need to also reference the Workforce Function 4 dashboard for all additional staffing information. Our leave replacement is calculated based on the type of leave and the overtime percentages multiplied by the average daily earned hours. Your actual complement is the number of employees that are on rolls via WebCoins. The actual average of daily hours and the FTES, which is used by each LDC. The proposed complement provides the proposed earned FTES by taking the earned hours for the previous 301 days. The average daily earned hours and FTS by each LDC. It also calculates the annual earned hours based on the daily average multiplied by the 301 days. Next is our FDB, which is the facility database information. This information is important, especially in the smaller SOV units, because it earns a certain amount of time for your operational hours as opposed to your workload. In the smaller units, you don't get as much workload as you're required to be open. So this is always very important to make sure this is correct. It provides your unit open time, which sometimes changes with the Amazon drops that are coming in, or if you get an updated IOP agreement. So you always want to make sure that your open time and your mail arrival time is correct. This also provides the window hours for Monday through Friday and for Saturdays, opening and closing the unit time. At the top of the screen, you can also see the FDB identification number that's associated with the finance number. So if you go into the FDB program, you can research that number and come up with the same facility as well. If you have discrepancies with this, you need to contact your field operations support specialist to get assistance in updating this, and you also want to make sure it's updated in the FDB application. Next is your business return services, Operation 6370. A lot of this time is use or lose. So if you earn your time two different ways with this, with your scans and with your clock rings. If you're only doing scans, then you stand to lose the time that you earn for your clock rings. If you look in your seesaw every day in LDC 42, you'll see the amount of time that is calculated that you should use for that day. By not maximizing that time and using it to perform the PRS duties, the BRM duties, the MRS, or the postage due, as your accounts get budgeted the next year, you stand to lose that time. If you look into where it says source, you'll see where it says toolbox editor input. That means the values to the right of that need to be updated in the CSV toolbox. And again, that's something that needs to be done by your field operations support specialist. Postage due is the biggest question I normally get with this. When we refer to postage due, we are talking about the postage due that is input into Postal One, where you're actually deducting money from an account for short pay postage on items. The small letters that you're getting the day-to-day that go to your carriers that are going to Aunt Susie who didn't put 2 stamps when she needed 1, that's the information that goes towards your accountable time. It won't actually apply to your postage due time here. This is the stuff that comes from Postal One. Next is your LDC 45 ancillary duties. These are often referred to as soft time duties. The reason they call them soft time is because they don't have a set time to be done every day. It's items that we do that we require to be done that complement their window operation, but they don't have to be done by a specific time. Like your DUT has to be scanned by a specific time. Your second notices can be wrote up anytime during the day. So these are some of the activities that go along with that ancillary time. For every 1 hour of earned time on the window, you earn 15 minutes of ancillary time. So for example, they're looking at here, this unit earned 243.49 minutes per day. So we divide that by 60, and that's 4.06 hours per day they earn to do these duties in addition to what they're doing on the windows. That time is included in your earned window hours. It's not in addition to. There is a list of earned transaction values that can be found in EDW if you're ever curious to see what you earn on the window for doing the various different transactions. If anybody's interested in that, let me know and I will give you the drill path. Next is your LDC 45LA, which is lobby assistance or technology. These are your SSK machines, your APC machines, and then the rare instance that anyone still has an impause. This is the time that you earn for the usage of those lobby assistant technologies. This is for replenishing paper, replenishing stamps, clearing errors, anything of that nature. Next is your LDC 4800. This is your miscellaneous group. Again, anything that you see in bold are things that can be changed by the CSV toolkit that has to be done by your field operations support specialist. But these are all things that you want to make sure are current and that you're checking on a regular basis. A lot of times we have changes There are offices that have bench values that haven't been changed in years. Now, one of the biggest questions that I get on this are, if you look down towards about a third of the way down where it says scans. Nobody understands what type of scans are included. These are the scans that your clerks perform with their MDDs. They have to be set up as a clerk that are not AAU scans. So as long as it's not an arrival at unit scan, it credits towards this. Now, the only thing that does not credit toward this is your vestibule scan. But all of your CPMS scans, your SPMS scans, prepaid acceptance, the scans that you make on your trucks, all of your SACs and your 99 labels, these are all scans that, as long as they're set up as a clerk and performed, will count towards this scan count. Now, each scan earns you a total of 0.044 minutes per scan. So just doing 100 scans earns you 4 minutes of miscellaneous 4800 time. I don't know any office that only does 100 scans. Most offices are the upwards of 500 to 1,000 scans per day. And this is also a time to mention your collection scans. In order for you to earn your credit for your collection scans, your scanner must be set up under the clerk function. It can't be set up as a manager, a supervisor, a carrier. It has to be set up as a clerk, and it's credited for all your correct CPMS scans. Now, those CPMS scans have to be in CPMS as whatever the scan is, B001. If it is set up as a P or anything other than the B, you will not get credit as a collection scan for your clerk. Sunday holiday hubs. This references to any office that's currently doing Sunday holiday hub work. The way you earn credit for doing the Sunday work is in addition to what you scan. You get all of your regular credit just like you get every other day for your arrival at unit scans. The number of spokes, the number of dynamic routes, the number of packages per dynamic route, all factor in to get your credit for what goes into addition to the credit you earn for your arrival at unit scans. So for this particular office, they only have one spoke, but they have 84 dynamic routes. So they actually earn an additional 1.2 hours every Sunday in addition to what they're credited for their AAU scans. Next is your workload worksheet. On each LDC here, if you click on the benchmark LDC 43 or any of them really, two different columns come up. You have a blue and a green. The green category is your earned value, and then your blue category is your benchmark value. So it gives you kind of a comparison of what the two are. Your flex time that is mentioned is headquarters approved only, and it's for anomalies that you currently do not get credit for in CSV. Your workload is what's reported via eFlash. Your productivity rates are unique to each unit. STB stands for safety talks and breaks. Then the SCF Sun are the hours that you earn for your SCF hub or your Sunday holiday delivery sites. And then, of course, your analysis productivity is your hours plus your safety talk and breaks rounded to the nearest whole number. And then the last of the analysis worksheet is your RMPO worksheet. And this just provides a listing of all remotely managed post offices. And then it kind of gives you your information that's accredited to that AO. The unit level is also the equivalent of the open daily hours. So if the RMPO is a level 4 unit, then that means it's open 4 hours each day. It gives you the effective week and the effective date that the RMPO was actually established. And that is all I have. If anyone has any questions.
If you have questions, why don't you enter them through the chat room. Then I can relay them to Samantha for her to answer. Anyone have any questions? So Samantha, once again, just for the benefit of everybody on here, if there are items in the program that are wrong, what are some that they can change themselves? And what are the ones that you as the coordinator would have to change?
A lot of the things that a EAS person can change themselves are going to be the things that feed into CSV. Your AMS deliveries and routes, making sure that you're getting proper credit in WebBats for your caller service, making sure that you're getting all of your deliveries input. Anything that you see in CSV that is in bold print is something that a coordinator would have to change for you. And that's going to be your mailings, your BMEU information, your closeout information.
Okay, we have a couple of questions in the chat. One is, will you send out these slides?
Sure, if you want to send me an email, I'll be more than happy to share it with you.
All right, it's Samantha dot, is it M?
Yes.
Samantha M. Gregory at USPS.gov.
Yes, sir.
Did you say CPMS should be an 8 instead of a P?
No, CPMS, first in your MDG, the clerks need to be set up as a clerk.
I'm sorry,
Your
it should be P.
CPMS scan should be a B001.
I misread your question, Mark, sorry. The question was, should it be a B instead of a P?
Yes, it has to be B001 to get credit, both set up in the scanner and on the CPMS scan.
Nicole, in answer to your question, we will do our best to get it to you, yes. The recording will actually be up on UPMA YouTube channel probably in a couple of days now, but we will get it up there for everyone. What is the process to right size your complement?
You want to start with getting all the earned time you can possibly get in your office. Making sure that once you're earning all that time, that's going to increase the probability of you getting more. You honestly have to reach out to your HR or your workforce planning person to give you the exact process.
All right, any other questions? Can you apply this information to an SOV office?
Yes, most of it actually does correlate back and forth. The only difference with your SOV office that I was stating earlier and your FDB, making sure that you get that full operational time, because more often than not is going to be higher than your actual earned time. So with an SOV office, it's the higher of the two, which is usually the operational hours. So you want as many hours as you have.
All right, anyone else? The last one says, thank you, Samantha and Dan, for sharing this. Samantha, I'm on behalf of UPMA and FESA, which also co-sponsors these training sessions on Thursdays once a month. I just want to say thank you very much for taking time out of your schedule to come online and to share this information with us. It's one of the questions that a lot of our offices have many times is exactly how do they improve their CSV scores? And you have shared that information with us, and we really, really appreciate that.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys letting me come in and share.
All right. Well, seeing no other questions, we're going to let you have the rest of your evening to yourself. And again, I apologize for getting on a little late. But again, thank you, Samantha, and thank you everyone else for getting on. So everyone have a good evening.